When we get back, I'm going to file cloture on 3 nominees, the NLRB nominee, Gwen Wilcox, and FCC Commissioner Ana Gomez, as well as the 3 Fed nominees to fill up the Fed. We're filing those tonight for immediate votes when we return. And I have very good news. It looks like we're going to confirm in one block more than a...
They are finally addressing this, everybody. Lawmakers in Congress from both parties are showing support for another relief plan. The new plan would actually directly provide thousands of dollars to millions of low-income households that are struggling to pay for their monthly expenses. But some Republicans have signaled that they would like to implement strict eligibility requirements. So make sure to keep watching this, everybody, to find out what stimulus checks are going to be sent to you. Now, first of all, everybody, a bipartisan group of House members are planning on a recent legislative deal and plans to work on a proposal to beef up an existing tax credit for families with young children. The Problem Solvers Caucus has a group, and they're planning to launch a subcommittee to work on issues associated with the child tax credit. It's currently providing up to $2,000 per child, and it's a smaller benefit than one in place during 2021. It would be cut in half and applied to many fewer households, everybody. But a Ways and Means Committee member said the child tax credit came up during discussions about a debt limit this year, as the Problem Solvers Caucus aimed to build consensus on the measures that would help the American people out. The Problem Solvers Caucus includes 64 members, evenly split between Republicans and Democrats, who aim to work across the aisle. The group typically requires 75% support among its members to endorse proposals. Whether a bipartisan tax package comes together this year may hinge on negotiations around the child tax credit. A representative said he has an interest in aiding the low-income households that earn too little to get the benefits under the bill, and he has convincingly won recent elections and is still on the Democrats' target list for next year. He plans to ask representatives to be involved in the child tax credit discussions. And when Democrats were considering extending the child tax credit expansion, he said the benefits should be better targeted to benefit low-income households for a longer period of time, and the current maximum credit applies to $400,000. Even representatives specifically praised the party proposal to permanently make the credit fully refundable, which would have meant that the families would owe little or nothing in federal amount income taxes could still claim the full amount. Republicans have said they're not interested in the revival of Democrats' signature expansion. Still, there were hints at a finances, taxation, and IRS oversight committee hearing last week of potential interest in working across the aisle on the child credit. Even some subcommittee chairmen actually agreed on this, and economic growth has benefited the wealthy while keeping middle class behind and lowering the income thresholds for the poverty. Now, the senators are holding a series of roundtable discussions for lawmakers to work on the child credit and ways to alleviate the poverty. And so far, this Congressional Budget Office has estimated that making the current law and current child tax credit permanent will cost $600 billion plus through the fiscal year 2033. While enlarging to get back to the 2021 policy, it can cost up to $100 billion a year just to get things done. One-time payments will be arriving for millions of Americans soon, and the administration has approved $39 billion in relief. State lawmakers are now approving legislation that would allow more low-income households to receive SNAP benefits. The SNAP program has undergone modifications this year, affecting 42 million citizens participating in the program. SNAP benefit amounts vary based on people's household size, monthly income, and other expenses. The plan faces an uphill battle. Efforts to pass laws capping the price of insulin for insured Americans or uninsured people or those with private insurance, and they failed in Democratic-controlled Congress last year. Another part of the law that the administration hopes will have ripple effects for Americans is the requirement for the pharmaceutical companies to pay a rebate to Medicare when they raise the cost of prescriptions faster than inflation. Now the EPA also has unveiled a pair of proposals to dramatically cut carbon emissions and spur the industry toward full electrification. The first of the proposed standards would target emissions from passenger cars, vans, and light trucks, while the second batch would apply to heavier duty vehicles, such as delivery trucks, dump trucks, and buses. The EPA estimates that if finalized, the rules will lead to electrification.
Is receiving Social Security. They're not going to see that impact in their checks until January of the new year. But this is going to help a lot of folks really, truly get through these high inflationary times. As we just heard from Caleb and Brian, 8.2%. We are not seeing inflation decline just yet. It is, as Caleb was putting it, sticky high still. And so right now we're seeing a lot of folks, but particularly those Americans that are on a fixed income, really struggling to buy groceries or pay for gas or electricity. So this is definitely going to go.
The Secretary of Finance has also said that to apply, residents must provide valid Social Security numbers, Delaware residential mailing addresses, and active identification cards as well. This bill was meant to be passed by lawmakers in April. The money is meant to help offset the cost of living increase in the state as brought by inflation. Residents of Idaho have until the end of the year to apply for the rebate, up to $300 that is, and $600 for joint filers. Not only that, but in order to qualify for the rebate, Idaho people must have been a full-year resident for 2020 and 2021, and file their 2020 and 2021 individual income tax as well. The amount one will receive varies due to one's financial status. Idaho State Legislature and the governor approved a rebate package in September during a special session at the state legislature. It was part of a larger billion-dollar piece of legislation that included tax cuts, education spending, and other initiatives. The governor's office noted that the rebate could give people affected by inflation some financial relief. According to the Idaho State Tax Commission, some 800,000 rebates worth $500 million are estimated to be sent out by the end of March. State tax authorities started sending out the rebates in late September and have plans to dole out even more payments as additional residents qualify. The Idaho State Tax Commission said that rebates can come via direct deposit or as a check in the mail, but any outstanding tax payments due to the state will be deducted from the final rebate by tax authorities. Now, if you're an Idaho resident, you can use the Where's My Rebate tool to check the status of your check. Nancy Pelosi has long been known for her ability to rally Democratic lawmakers to get tough votes for important pieces of bills. Nancy Pelosi, who has led the House Democratic caucus since 2003, was widely expected to step down from her role next year to make way for a new generation. Now the results of the midterms have altered the calculus, at least for some Democrats, as the party could potentially retain an incredibly slim majority after all the results are tallied. According to the sources familiar with the situation, Pelosi has been contacted by several members who have asked her to remain in her role in the new Congress. So even if the party falls short of retaining its current majority, pointing to her success in maintaining a party discipline. Drew Hamill, Pelosi's spokesman, did not have a timeline for any announcements from the lawmaker. Hamill said in a statement, the Speaker will make an announcement when she makes an announcement, and to control the House, a party has to secure 218 out of 435 total seats. So according to Insider, as of November 12th, Republicans have won 210 seats, while Democrats have claimed 198 seats. Democrats currently control the House 220 to 212. Republicans last controlled the lower chamber in January when they ceded their majority in the Democratic Party after losing seats in 2018 and the midterms. Pelosi led the chamber from 2007 to 2011 and regained the House's Speaker's gavel in 2019. So, let's see what President Biden does about this.
The CHIPS and Science Act is not handing out blank checks to companies. I've directed my administration to be laser focused on the guardrails that will protect